U.S. Senate. Their first goal, and they came within one vote of accomplishing it, was to throw 32 million Americans off of the health care they currently have. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine people today in New Hampshire and Vermont, all across this country, dealing with cancer, dealing with heart disease, dealing with diabetes, whose lifeline is an insurance program that these guys came within one vote. That vote was from the late Senator John McCain. They came within one vote of throwing millions of people off the health care that they needed. Well, they were not successful in that effort. They were not successful then in doing away with the protections that the Affordable Care Act has for people with pre-existing conditions. And you know what that's all about? What that's about is that people who have serious problems before the Affordable Care Act, they go to the insurance company and they look for an insurance policy, and the insurance company would say, well, tell me, have you ever had breast cancer? Have you ever had diabetes? They say, yeah, we did. Well, we can't quite cover you for those illnesses, or we're going to charge you an outrageous price for the insurance that you need. How obscene is it for insurance companies to be rejecting people who desperately need the coverage? Well, we dealt with that issue, and we made discrimination against people with pre-existing conditions illegal. But right now, there is a case winding its way to the Supreme Court which would rule the Affordable Care Act unconstitutional, a case being brought by Republican attorneys general all over this country. And we have got to do everything we can, and this election is all about that, is to make it very clear that in America, if you have a serious illness, yes, without discrimination, you're going to get the insurance coverage. But then, after having failed at repealing the Affordable Care Act, they came back with a so-called tax reform plan. In our country today, we have more wealth and income inequality than any major country on earth. It is worse today than at any time since the 1920s. Now, you don't hear a whole lot of folks talking about that issue. It's too sensitive an issue. It might offend people who have money. And it might expose the unfairness of our current economy. But I do talk about it. And I think that there's something wrong when in America today, you got 3 people who own more wealth than the bottom half of the American people. 3 people own more wealth than the bottom 160 million people. You got the top 1/10 of 1% owning more wealth than the bottom 90%. While people in New Hampshire and in Vermont work 2 or 3 jobs to keep their families intact and put food on the table, 40% of all new income goes to the top 1%. And what was the Republican congressional response to this grotesque level of income and wealth inequality? It was to give massive tax breaks to the top 1%. Now, when Trump ran for president, he said that our tax reform program will not benefit the wealthy. I know that I will shock everybody here in this room to tell you he wasn't telling the truth. I will not use another word here in the house of God. I'll just keep it at that. He was not telling the truth. And in fact, 83% all of the benefits of that tax reform bill went to the people who need it the least, the top 1%. That is wrong. And then a few months after that, Trump came back and he said, it's not enough that I gave $1 trillion in tax breaks to the top 1%. Now what I got to do to control the deficit, I got to cut Medicare by $500 billion. Medicaid by $1 trillion. Social Security Disability Fund by $72 billion over a 10-year period. And then on top of that, they passed the largest military budget in history, such that we are now spending more than the next 10 countries combined. So that's what the Republican policy is about. Massive tax breaks to the rich, cuts not only in Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, but in education, in nutrition programs. Some of you may be aware of a program called the WIC program. You aware of that? Yeah. It's a program, a very wonderful program, that provides nutrition for low-income pregnant women so that their pregnancy is a healthy one, and when the baby is born, that baby gets good nutrition as well. Massive cuts to the WIC program. What we are saying and what this election is about is we are not about giving tax breaks to billionaires and cutting nutrition programs for babies. And it's a pretty simple question. How does it happen when the American people want one thing, you got a Congress that does literally exactly the opposite thing? All right? The American people, as it happens, believe that health care is a right, not a privilege. And the reason Donald Trump is busy attacking me and those of us who stand for Medicare for all, he reads the same polls that I do. 70% of the American people now support Medicare for all.
Wow. Thank you, Bernie.
But why is it that when the people want one thing, the Republican leadership in Congress is doing literally exactly the opposite? The American people, time after time, poll after poll, have made it clear that when the rich are getting much richer while the middle class is struggling, the demand is that the wealthy and large corporations start paying their fair share of taxes, not get huge tax cuts. This is the most important political issue that we have got to deal with. Why it is that elected officials, time and time again, do the exact opposite of what the American people want. And that is that we have a corrupt campaign finance system that allows billionaires to buy elections. Go to downtown Manchester and stand on a corner and ask people, do you think we should give massive tax breaks to billionaires and then cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid and education? People will laugh at you. Say, you're out of your mind. Why would anybody think about that? But that is the agenda of the Republican Party. Why is that? Because they are beholden not to their constituents, not to ordinary Americans, not to the people who are working 2 or 3 jobs, not to the people who don't have any health insurance. They are beholden to billionaires who right now, at this moment, are pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into campaigns in ugly 30-second TV ads. And our demand must be, we got to keep our eyes focused on this, because this issue relates to everything else. We have got to overturn this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision. We have got to move toward public funding of elections. It should not only be wealthy people or candidates beholden to wealthy people running for office. I know it sounds like a radical and crazy idea, but what about middle class and working class people actually being able to run for office and live? Election reform. We have got to stand up as firmly as we can and fight back against this ugly, racist voter suppression which is taking place. This really galls me, and I'll tell you why. I have run for office many times in Vermont. Sometimes I've lost and sometimes I've won. Fortunately, most times I've won. I've lost. But it has never occurred to me, and I think the vast majority of candidates, to try to figure out a way as to how we can deny people the right to vote who might vote against them. All right? If I can't win an election on my ideas, I don't want to win that election. All over this country, you're seeing candidates working hard to make it harder for people to vote because those people might be voting against them. We're seeing it in Georgia today, seeing it in North Dakota, we're seeing it all over this country. And I say to those politicians who want to suppress the vote, if you don't have the guts to run in an open, free, and fair election, get out of politics and get a new job.